Our very first guest is a gentleman that I always enjoy having on the program, especially at the various Consumer Electronics Association events, and they put on a plethora of cool events all across the world, for that matter, and certainly around the country throughout the year. Neat things. A very special friend of the show, at least I hope so. We like to call him that. And many of you listening and watching this week, we're also doing video, of course, of all the interviews. So we invite you to come by intotomorrow.com or graveline.com. Check out all the videos. The president and CEO of the Consumer Electronics Association, the producers of CES, among many other things, are involved with. Gary Shapiro. Gary, welcome back into Tomorrow. How you doing?
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be here in New York at CES Unveiled. Behind us, you can see there's tremendous amount of innovation, great companies, great new products. We're just beginning this digital revolution, and we keep seeing more stuff, and this is a great way to officially launch the CES season, as we call it. January 2010 CES is marked mostly by the fact that it's your 15th anniversary there, and we congratulate you.
Well, thanks. And it's marked by a whole lot of other very cool things. First of all, the plethora of keynoters. I mean, CES, the only show anywhere in the world that gets the kind of talent, the kind of executives that are telling us their vision into tomorrow, if you will. I mean, we've got, for example, the Ford CEO again coming out. And why would a car company be coming out as a keynoter at CES? How about, because talk about innovation and technology, Ford's doing it.
Well, Ford's increasingly positioning themselves as a technology company rather than a car company. We just announced today that the Ford Taurus is the official car of CES, and there's a phenomenal amount of technology
that means we
in that car. I was thinking about that when I was saying it, but does this get me one? But it's exciting because it's a car it's a company and a car that's focused on technology, and there's so many great things in there, and you can see the future. And now what these keynoters do is they don't give commercials for the company. They talk about their vision. And that's why it's considered the only trade show actually in the world that's considered one of the top 10 speaking opportunities for corporate CEOs. And we, honestly, we get a lot of people that want to speak there. And unfortunately, we have to say no to most of them. But we choose the ones that have something to say that's very important. For the first time, we have 3 different continents represented. We have a Chinese company. We have a European company, Nokia. And, of course, we have some great American companies like Microsoft, Intel, and Ford.
And as I understand it, a lot of new exhibitors that have never before exhibited at the Consumer Electronics Show are coming out to show a lot of their cool new technology.
Absolutely. It's a record number of new exhibitors, 330 different companies. And, you know, we run that show so anyone with a good idea for a few $1,000s can get exposure to over 100,000 press, investors, buyers, people who could make or break a company. And it's about innovation, because think about it, innovation's what's going to make a difference in this country in the future. We have to be innovative. We have to do new things. We have to change the status quo and move forward as a nation. And that's why the CES is so exciting, and that's frankly what motivates our staff, is to run the best show possible and to get this technology out there in the hands of everybody.
And we love having especially these new up-and-coming companies on the show because they have a lot to talk about. And you talk about big execs from big companies talking about their vision. These little guys have some pretty cool visions as well. It's neat to share that with the world.
You know, it's great. Yeah, absolutely. But the funny thing is, it's great because you have these big companies, and they really financially support the organization of the show. But they insist that we have that the show be run for the smallest companies. They want them there because they know the next idea will come in someone's garage, in someone's computer, and that's why we get so many of them. And it's also at the right time in history with innovation.
And, of course, not only the excitement building for CES coming up in January, but let's talk about something while we've got a couple of minutes that I know is near and dear to your heart these days, and that is Spectrum. First of all, tell our audience what you guys are dealing with as it relates to Spectrum, and there's been a lot more of that discussion since the digital TV transition as well.
Well, sure. You know, there's a certain amount of spectrum. It's like waterfront property on a beautiful lake or ocean, and there's just only so much of it. And it has to be used in the most efficient way. The government essentially owns it, and they usually license it out and sell it. And they've sold it for...
But wait, aren't we the government?
Well, yeah, we are the government. So, but it's used in the public interest for the best possible purposes. That's allowed cellular technology. It allows us to get people to hear you on the radio.
True.
It allows television. Now, what's happened with television, though, is that most people, 90% of the public now, gets their primary signal through cable or satellite or fiber. So only 10% of the population is relying on over-the-air television, but yet they still have the same big swath of space they've gotten many years ago, and it's not used by a lot of people. So when we say, where can we get more spectrum for wireless broadband, for all these smartphones, for everything else that's coming in the future, we know it's coming. How can we be a nation that's first in broadband, first again, because now we're way down in the middle of the pack with broadband.
Yep.
And everyone, Republicans and Democrats, agree that broadband is important and wireless is important. We're saying, let's just look at what's out there. Let's do an inventory. Let's ask the government what they own. Let's ask broadcasters what they own, how many people use it, and let's start cutting some deals so we can get spectrum out there for new technology, innovation, because we have to move this country forward. Innovation and technology will do it. It's important in the economy. It's important in our competitiveness. It's important for the education of our young people.
And, of course, it is extremely important for us consumers to know that we have this available to us. Innovation-movement.com.
Innovation-movement.com. We advocate for additional spectrum. We advocate for the fact that this is what's important in our future is innovation, whether it's free trade or attracting the best and the brightest or keeping this deficit under control, which is really the biggest threat, frankly, that we're facing. Because we just can't spend like drunken sailors anymore.
Exactly.
So what we're doing is we're trying to say, wake up, America. We have a future ahead of us that's bright. We could stay the #1 country in the world, provided that we make those hard choices, we do the tough decisions, and we focus on what we're good at, which is we've all come here from relatives who wanted something better. They wanted to innovate. They wanted to challenge the status quo. So let's make it happen. Let's educate our kids right. Let's basically, do something with the teachers that aren't bad and get rid of them. And let's invest in our future, not with government money, but with private money.
You're going to run for president of the U.S. one day, aren't you? I can tell. And we could say we knew him when, and he was on the show for 15 years, and then he became the president.
Well, the president of my organization.
There
I
you
like
go.
that job.
And you're doing a very good job at it, too. CESweb.org for more information about the upcoming International Consumer Electronics Show, and CE.org. The official website for the Consumer Electronics Association. Gary, we'll let you kind of clear the way now for the next 3 hours of today's broadcast to talk with as many of the folks as we can get on from CES Unveiled here in New York. And thanks for kicking it off.
Thank you for being such a vital part of what we do.
It's our pleasure. We're back with more from New York City. I'm Dave Graveline. This is Into Tomorrow on the Advanced Media Network.